So we're holding in siman Chaf Zayin Be'ez Hashem, and we're starting here in the middle of his Torah on Ba'al Oischa. So just to chazer over the kasha. Kasha was that, number one, Moshe Rabbeinu asked Hashem, how is it possible to provide food for all the people in the Midbar, meat and whatever, right? So Rabbi Kiva explained, it means kipshutai. Moshe actually questioned Hashem. Ramban explains, not that he questioned Hashem, obviously he believes Hashem could do it, but he said that since you're going to make them die through this basar, obviously the basar is not b'derech nes, it's b'derech hateva. So b'derech hateva, how could you do it? And the question of the Guru Arya was, even that, Moshe should have known that Hashem could do it b'derech hateva. And the second question was, how could the ksherim sheba'am eat from the Slav if they knew that they were going to die? That we're understand this parsha, we're going to understand our time also. How schwer it is, how difficult it is on the Rishaim when Hashem's anger comes out. Because they're troubling Hashem to make a nes to save them. And how powerful it is to have these nisim that are done for Rishaim that could actually convince people. They could convince even the best people. First we'll say over the Maral, the Sefer Guru Arya. What does Maral say? Even though Hashem doesn't have a difficulty to make nisim, nothing's difficult for Hashem, that nature and changing nature are equal to him. What's hard for Hashem? It's the complaining of the Rishonim. That they test him and they force him, so to speak, to make a nes. That's what is painful to Hashem. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings punishments on them for this. The story was they had a taiva. They asked for meat. Right? They said, why did we go out of Mitzrayim? This was a tircha for the Eibishter to give them meat. So they shouldn't think that Hashem is not able to do it. They had this bitter punishment that they died from eating the meat. Moshe's taina that he asked Hashem, how could you do it? So this is just teretz. That Moshe said it as a tefillah, as like a request. He said, I know you can do it, but I don't want you to do it, because here? Mm-hmm. So he's saying, don't make a nes for the Rishaim. You know why? Because that's going to cause a charoin af. You're going to be angry at them, and you're going to bring piranias on them. So just don't make the nes, and don't bring them the piranias. So what does he want them to do? How are they going to get food? They want food, right? So he could have said, well, the Yidden in Midbar, they need food, they just have them on, right? But he didn't say that. He said, He said, give them b'derech hateva. Don't cause a nes to happen. He said, no, I'm going to do it b'derech nes, even if it's going to cause me to be angry at them. Okay, so you see the difference. The Ramban explained that Moshe was saying, I know you're not going to do it b'derech nes, so you're going to do it b'derech hateva, so how could you do it b'derech hateva? We're saying no. Moshe wouldn't have asked that question. But what did he ask? He said, if you're going to do it b'derech nes, there's going to be a charoin af. So he davened to Hashem, please don't do it b'derech nes. Please do it b'derech hateva. And the Kodesh Baruch Hu answered them, answered him, no, I can't do it b'derech hateva, because then they'll say Yad Hashem tiktzar. They'll say that I don't have the power. So therefore I'm doing it b'derech nes. Yep, that's the Maharal. We see that when the Rishonim do this, when they ask for a miracle, or they do something that leads into a situation where they're going to need a nes to get out of it, that causes a charoin af for Hashem. So that's only in the Maharal, but in the Ramban maybe he wouldn't say that, but he says no. Hanal shaloi bala hem aslav b'derech nes b'shidu ma'aracha b'riya chadasha. The slav was not a nes; it was just natural. El shahaya melubash b'teva. A wind came and blew the slav canal. Aval mikamakam hayu asibois kroivim el anes. Yoister mi'al minhaga shalom. It was more close to a miracle than to the natural way of the world. It was something that you could think is a nes, even though maybe it wasn't. Getting to the 67 more, right? It's things that were not a nes, but people thought they were a nes because they were unusual events. They were things that just happened to happen at the right time. So, kidavar zeh be'etzem sheharuach nasa vehevi slav kol kach meruba. The actual fact that the wind blew and brought the slav and so many birds all at once. So many birds that went on for a day in all directions. Up in the hearts and 2 amas tall. It's not something that usually happens. That the birds were flying exactly at the height of a person's heart. It shouldn't be hard to take them. They shouldn't have to reach high or low. It's more close to a miracle than to nature. So now we understand. So both the Maharal and the Ramban. According to the Maharal, it was a real nes. Yeah, he says that Moshe asked him to do it b'derech hateva, and Hashem said, "No, I'm doing it b'derech nes." The Ramban says it was not a nes, but it was still close to a nes. It was still something that's on the side of nes, right? So now we understand why the Yidden ate from the slav. One of his kashas before is, how could they eat from the slav? Didn't they know they were warned they're going to die? The answer is they thought that. It says, "Af achrei kol asroi sheisra Moshe ben Avoshan bohem ki achrei shera'u oifen hayradas haslav." When they saw how the birds came down, nidme lohem lenisim gluyim. They thought it was nisim gluyim v'shaloi b'derech hateva. They thought it wasn't natural. Uledivrei agur aryeh v'harbim mefarshim hay be'emes b'derech nes. According to the Maharal, it really was a nes v'shaloi b'derech hateva. Al kapanim chashvu shehiskim Hashem yisbarach lohem. They thought Hashem was agreeing to them, even though Moshe warned them. But when the nes happened in the end, they thought, right, mamash a parallel. Rebbe finds everywhere a parallel to Zion. It's amazing, right? You see, the Gedolim warned Klal Yisrael against Zionism. They did it anyway. Oh, look, 6-day war, amazing, right? Oh, you see, Hashem is maskim to them. Okay? Al kapanim chashvu shehiskim Hashem yisbarach lohem ki anisim lo yavoyu rak l'toiva v'lo l'ra, because they said, like the Ramban says, a nes could only be good, not bad, unless you're Rishayim Gemurim. But they didn't think of that, right? They didn't think they could be Rishayim Gemurim. V'al kein chashvu ki nicham Hashem al hara. They thought Hashem changed his mind, because it is possible, right, by the Mabul, not by the Mabul, by Yoina, right, by Nineveh, Hashem could change his mind and not bring something bad upon the world. Nicham Hashem al hara v'hiskim l'kashasam, and he agreed to their request. That's why they had the courage to eat from the slav, despite the fact that they were warned. Really, they should have believed in the warning, right? They should have run away from the birds. Just like someone runs from a lion. They shouldn't have any hana. Because it came through something that was wrong, complaining against Hashem. It was the miracles that they saw that caused them to make this mistake. It's their sin that caused them to come to this nisayon, similar to the false navi. Because they tested Hashem by asking for meat. Ubikshu alila, and really they had meat already, right? So he says ubikshu alila. It was really only an excuse to go away from Hashem. Rashi zal udivrei Chazal. Again, the parallel to Zionism. The Yidden, after the war, after the Second World War, right? They had a place to go. There were places, there were countries that would take the refugees in. There was what to do with the Yidden. There wasn't a danger, and yet, similar today, they had meat then, right? But they were asking for something they weren't supposed to ask for. Gedolim warned them.
Like that book I told you about,
still,
with Suriname.
Right. Even if they wouldn't let them in the United States. In the end, they did, by the way. Congress did pass the Displaced Persons Act and let them in. But even if not for that, they could have gone to Suriname. So
you finished reading the book?
Didn't read all of it, but I read that chapter. Yeah. Ubikshu alila. So al-kain nitin lahem. It was only an alila. The whole Zionism was only an alila. It was only an excuse to like the Reb Chaim, famous Reb Chaim, right? He says that Zionism is just to cause Yidden to go off the derech. That was really the reason for it, right? So, that's why Hashem allowed them room to make a mistake with these nisim. In that generation, Hashem wasn't hiding His face, so Schar v'oinish came very quickly. Miyad nenshu oisei hara. The people who did the evil were punished immediately. When the meat was still in their teeth, they died. Baruch Hashem, people don't get punished right away. We have a chance to do tshuva. Hashem is marich af, and He's letting us have a chance to see the mistake that we made. Mirz Hashem, people will do tshuva and they won't continue in the mistake.